All right, we're ready to go. We'll start here, Coach. History here. This is unique. My phone's been blowing up since the announcement. First UCF team ever to be shipped out for a regional playing on the road. Kind of take me through it. What was it like in the room there? Because obviously we thought maybe a Florida State, but it turns out you're going to Texas.
Well, yeah, it was interesting to have Florida and Florida State pop up really early and our names not to be on there. And, everyone kind of looked at around like, and I said, don't worry, we're good. You guys did what you needed to do. We're good. It's just going to be different maybe. So it's exciting. I think it's a cool opportunity, awesome opportunity. None of our team has ever played there. So maybe one of our girls that's transferred in, but it's going to be fun. It's a great environment, great atmosphere, and we've got some history against some of those teams.
You
Fifth year,
welcome.
fifth year now. You've made the NCAA tournament. Only a handful of UCF teams have ever done that, and this was with a team, a young team that you have mentioned many a times, did not have a position player play the same position that they were in last year. It's a brand new team, basically, was the point. Uh, what does this mean for you to have this young group get there to this regional?
Yeah, there's so many moments in the season where I've been so proud of them. And then there's been other moments where I'm like, what did we just do? And I say that knowing that these women have worked so hard to be in this position. They've completely bought in. But rewind just to last year, and we graduated 11 seniors that had huge impact in our program. And so when you think about graduating that many people, that many impact players, and then having a brand new team, it can be a little unsettling. But this group is, they enjoy it, they get after it, they learn and they get better. And so I'm incredibly proud of them. They deserve this, and I'm excited to keep seeing them grow. And I think the best is yet to come.
Hi, Coach. Talk about the different dynamic that the team brings, especially not having so many seniors, being senior stacked, and it's just players playing and having fun.
Yeah, Stormy uses the term, and I don't know if it's a positive or a negative, but she'll talk about just being freshly stupid. And we have some incredibly smart people on our team, but it's kind of that like what you know can't hurt you type thing. And so I think it is refreshing. We get to work on just what at practices is kind of back to the basics, things that we're working on, even at this time of the year. I haven't had the opportunity to really do that in the last couple of years because those players had been here for so long. So it's been nice. It's been refreshing. We've been able to revisit things and kind of redefine who we want to be and where we're going with that. Because I do think the teams in the past, since I've been here or even prior to, have been, strong softball programs. And it's time for us to push forward and keep going. We want to be a team that's talked about that creates a legacy of postseason, deep into postseason, super regionals, and being that team that is the first team to get to the World Series for our program.
Coach, speaking of that legacy, you once again get a chance to rematch with the Michigan Wolverines now under Bonnie Fulb. Been 3 years since you last saw them in an NCAA regional. What's it like to get matched up with them again? And what feels different about it this time around?
Well, every day is different. I feel like in the game of softball for us, these and not just UCF, I think across the nation. Um, and congratulations to Michigan. What an awesome conference tournament that they had. But it's exciting, right? Like we always play exciting games against them, and so we love that. I mean, that's what we're here for, is to play those type of teams, that competition, and play the best. And I think in the selection show they talked about our regional being one of the toughest, and like I say bring it. Our team likes that. They invite the hard. And I think in order to say, we're going to get to the top, we have to be able to get through those types of teams. And so I'm excited for it.
Of course, you got Texas, who you played last year. And as a conference foe, it's how time flies. And you played them even back in 2022. I know it's a completely different team, but you've had memorable matchups with Texas, and now you're in the same region with them. You're kind of it's fascinating in a lot of ways. It's kind of a full circle moment for like Caitlin Felton and Ashley Griffin that has played these teams a lot.
Yeah, yeah. One game at a time, but the goal is to get to that next game. And if it is Texas, we're very excited about that too. We do have a lot of history, like you said. We've played them quite a bit. And another tough team with some awesome ball players. But again, I do think that that's what our women want. They want to play against the best. They want to be there so that, they can put UCF in that conversation on a daily basis as well.
You also have a scrappy Eastern Illinois team heading into Austin as well. I took a look at them and they have quite a dynamic duo in the circle there. Just what have you got a chance to see out of them and to see them, get into the NCAA tournament after quite an interesting way to win their conference tournament?
Yeah, you know what? I actually haven't had a lot of opportunities. I've watched them a little bit whenever I could catch a game here or there, but I don't know enough to really speak on it. I mean, I know about Michigan and Texas, just from our personal experience in the past. Being a mom with three young boys, I focus on the Malone squad, and then I focus on UCF softball quite a bit. So I will be doing a lot of homework this week.
It is a unique in that 20 years ago, this year you celebrated the 2005 team for their 20-year anniversary for the ASUN championship team, the team that first made the NCAA tournament, led by Stephanie Best. Had they won the regional that year, they would have gone to Austin to play Cat Austerman in Texas in the Super Regionals. The same Cat Austerman who has just called your games last week at the Big 12 championships and called the game earlier this year. I know you got a chance to spend time with her when they during the Oklahoma State series. It's kind of a full circle moment here, Coach.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so awesome about this game and the people in it, right? There's still some amazing women in this sport that have played it and are connected in some way. And it was something that was really important to us as a program to be able to come and spend our selection Sunday here at Steph's house. She opened up her home to us in the middle of the year when we were kind of struggling, and then we had some fun on the lake, and it ended up, I think, really turning around this year for us. Had a big win against an awesome team in UF in a midweek, and then really started playing some softball. And so I just thought it was very fitting to be able to celebrate, what this team's done, and have her be a part of that, because she was a part of the piece of us turning it around this year.
Coach, you mentioned the team playing through ups and downs. The players mentioned it starting at 0-0. What's the confidence of them knowing that it's a clean slate?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of talk about our season in 3 seasons, right? We'll play preseason, and whoever does that dang scheduling for this program, they put them through the ringer, man. Um, yeah. That's the first season. Then we go through conference, which we know the Big West was just insane with just the ups and downs of the entire conference. But then there was no safe weekend. There was no easy weekend. There was no break. Um, and so I think, that's prepared them for this. And then now we're in the third phase of our season, and, we're 0-0, 0-0, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, why not us, right? Like, we've got so much under our belts. Our freshmen are, they start summer school tomorrow, so they're no longer freshmen. They're sophomores. And so I feel comfortable and confident in saying that I feel like we're a more seasoned team for sure than even about 3 weeks ago.
Coach, how is this team different today than it was when they first got together preseason?
Oh, wow. Um, I would say they have more of a humble confidence. Because I think they were really confident in the beginning of the year, but almost to the point where it's like, oh, I don't need to try that. I'm good with this. I think we come out and just smack the ball around in our first game, and had a pretty good weekend for an opening weekend. Now I think they're listening, they're learning, they're taking in information, and they're not recognizing failure, right? They're seeing it and learning, but they're not recognizing it as failure. And that's what's really big for us. And then the last thing that we talked about is like the good teams, the great teams, they put in all the time and effort in the weight room, not only in the classroom, in scouting, and then their mindset so that we don't get outlasted. And I think that you saw a lot of games at the end of the year where we were able to outlast teams. And then we still have a couple of hiccups where like, okay, how can we make an adjustment on that? And so that's what I would say we've really grown and developed of, all right, my first at bat, this may have happened, but it's not going to affect my next at bat, right? One is one. Let's move on. How do we get this team to win? That's the ultimate like result. That's what we're looking for. And we're looking for results. We're not result oriented only, but we're looking for results. We want to go for them. And, living in that life it's tough. I mean, if you read some of these books of some of the elite athletes, like it's a dark side to win and focus on winning and being the best and being the one all the time. It's tough. It's lonely. It's frustrating. It's amazing. It's all these emotions. And so to be able to like really take all of that in, continue to compete and want to do it over and over again and still be this like holistic human being that's I think the like ultimate test to me and our staff, because we're not just ball players. They're not softball players. They play softball. And so we continue to keep harnessing that and keep like focusing on that. But at the same time, we want them to be the best. And that's what I've learned with this group. Um, we really had like a few heart to hearts this year. Sorry for the long-winded answer, but I think we've really had some heart to hearts this year where, as an athlete, I wasn't the top of the top, but I competed and I got to I got to the dark side as an athlete myself. And I was really, really hard on myself. And I would share some of those stories and some of the girls would say like, why don't you hold us accountable like that? And I thought, oh, I'm a tough coach. I am. But I started holding them accountable just as I would hold myself accountable. And I would start having those more honest conversations, because I knew like, okay, we're not going to have a Jada Cody, a Gianna Mancha, a Sarah Willis, a Jazz Williams. Like these names I'm talking about are incredible athletes, and they're all having to take over their roles. And so that's, I think, been the big turnaround for us. And I don't know if it's like one moment, but I would say that's from the start to finish. That's what this team looks like. And they keep listening. And I can be so honest with them and it's amazing. And they're such a fun group. And they are also the same group that brought me flowers and wished me happy Mother's Day, so it does feel like a true UC family. I don't even know if that answered your question. I don't forgot the question.
Well, how about this question here? I've gotten a lot of text messages congratulating because they said this is like a big step, almost like a graduation. It's no longer, oh well, just bust this team. This is a sign of the respect of the growth of the program. I got a quote from someone prominent in softball that this is a sign of respect. And now moving forward, it's not like, oh, you're just going to go to Gainesville, you're going to go, or you could host, and now you could also travel wherever as long as you earn the seed that you get.
Yeah. And so awesome. So incredible. I saw all the girls had their phones out and they're filming and I'm like, because normally we don't have our phones like in a softball event, and I thought, wow, like it's so cool. Like I remember recruiting some of these girls, just a couple of years ago. And so to be able to see them do what we talked about in the recruiting process it's so fun. So, but yes, I think just the recognition that, everyone's starting to realize that, we're supposed to be here. And what they've done. This schedule was not easy. And not only who we played, but where we played, when we played. We traveled 3 weeks in the middle of conference. and went and decided to go to OU in a bye weekend in the middle of 2 road trips. Like who does that and then comes out playing better, and this team did. So I think that they deserve all those kudos, like you're saying, all that recognition. I'm so proud of them.
You got a young team. You just got to play at the Big 12 championships at Devon Park, the home of the World Series. Do you think that experience, because arguably it was the 2 most exciting games of the tournament, do you think playing that experience in that competition, especially playing the Arizona, does that help the youngsters, the freshmen in particular, as they get ready for their first regional?
I do. I do think I feel like all of our youngsters got in there, and even in some of their first at bats, and they're acting like, what, same game, right? So I don't think they looked around and they didn't like pay attention to the actual attention. They were really focused on what was happening inside the arena. I know it's a softball stadium, but just from like a phrase standpoint, we always talk about love the arena, not the attention. And I think it's so cool that they can be themselves and do that. But I do think it's huge that we play in that venue. We're familiar with it. And this group wasn't just excited to be in that second game of the conference tournament. I mean, there was some really upset faces because they knew they should have made adjustments, and we could have made adjustments earlier. Our pitchers knew and our defense knew, like they didn't earn all those runs. Like they capitalized on our mistakes. And that's what good teams do. And so leaving there with them just like quiet and like a little bit upset was like, all right, we've got a good group here. Like they get it, they understand. And then now we got to go get those results.
We'll do one more.
How would you say that your team has been responding so far since then, and how can you kind of see them kind of carrying it over their experience from that? Not just, the chip on their shoulder attitude, but just from a play standpoint, can carry over to Austin.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, one of the best feelings, and this kind of talks about your question, but one of the best feelings in a program is to like, we didn't win the conference tournament and yet we've still practiced after we got back, right? So to be able to say like, okay, there's a lot of teams that are done, they get out of their conference tournament and they're done, and we're practicing because we're ready to go, and just tell us where. That's all we need to know. Where are we going? Because we know we're playing. And so I think that is really like the team vibe right now. They're just, all right, coach, what's next? When are we going to lift? When are we going to do this? When are we going to be able to get that hitting circuit in? Like they're just all focused on being prepared for what's next. And again, it's kind of a veteran move from a very young team. So I think, the future is bright, and I'm really excited for this weekend. I think it's anyone's game, especially at this regional.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Congrats, coach.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.